Good evening, beautiful people of the beloved nation Ambazonia. Welcome to today's edition of Hour of Grace. Today is Sunday, the 9th of February, 2020. And of course, I want to respect the fact that our people have been respecting the lockdown, the national lockdown. And we know of what disadvantage this has been on the enemy, or to the enemy. We know that this lockdown has been a thorn to the enemy's flesh. And I really want to take this opportunity to thank you all, my family, in this Ambazonian revolution, especially my brothers, mothers, sisters, fathers, children at Ground Zero, who are all respecting this lockdown. I really want to encourage you to know that we are with you in spirit and in truth. We are praying with you. And I am so happy because this 2020 is going to be the year of our deliverance. Because it's by no chance to see that La Republic is doing everything they want to do or everything in their power to manipulate the international community just so as to sustain the lies they have been telling the world that they have control over our territory. Today, we've proven to the world, and we are proving to the world, that La République has lost its grip over us, and that we are a separate nation. That's why we haven't allowed them to have their elections in our territory. Well, as usual on this show, Hour of Grace is that inspirational program. We come to you every Sunday evening. We bring you inspirational words from the Word of God. We want to encourage you. We want to bless ourselves. We want to look at ourselves with the light of God, so as to correct some certain things, so as to rebuke ourselves, so as to make some things go the way they ought to go. As usual, I have with me on this program today my beloved brother and friend, Minister Silva. Good morning, Minister Silva.
Good morning, Mr. Nanchop, and good evening to you, our televiewers, or good morning wherever you are watching at us. This is your favorite program, the Hour of Grace. And Mr. Nanchop, I'm very, excited because every day God keeps, making us to know that He has not abandoned us. I believe if there is any time, that our people had ever, built momentum or gathered courage, it should be now, because of the way God has been unveiling Himself in this revolution. We see, what is happening on ground zero. I think it is another evidence for us to know that we don't have to ever think of giving up or relenting so far as this revolution is concerned. Some time ago, we said it in this program that the darkest hour is before dawn. That is when a lot of things were happening, and a lot of people were questioning, were asking, questions to themselves, and even questioning God, because we have always said this is a God-ordained revolution, and people have been asking questions, to one another, even questioning God, just like the Israelites questioned God when they were in their season of darkness. A lot of people in this revolution as well have been questioning God. But I believe that the way things have been unfolding these days, it is very clear, on the sands of time, that God has not abandoned us. God is with us, Ambazonians. Once more, congratulations to you there watching at us from ground zero. We want to say courage and know that we are with you and God is with you. And we have already had our independence. Like you said, Mr. Nanchop, it's a period of our deliverance. I believe the deliverance has been a process. God has been delivering us from the bondage and slavery that we have lived in under La République for more than 57 years. And it has been a systematic process. And I believe that we are getting to the beginning of the end of this deliverance process, where we will completely restore our independence and be a free people and be able to govern ourselves and set our own institutions that will govern our land.
Thank you, Minister Silva, for that wonderful encouragement to our people. One of the reasons we are stepping out of this fake union with La République is because La République is a lawless nation. A nation where people have taken themselves above the law, where it seems like the law is being applied just to certain individuals or to a certain group or minority group of people, but some others don't care about the law. Even those in power who are supposed to obey the law, they don't care about the law. Well, I've often said deliverance is when God takes you out of Egypt, but freedom is when Egypt gets out of you. That's why after God delivered the children of Israel, He took them out of Egypt with His mighty hands. We saw the manifestation of His power. The Israelites, they saw it. Yet when they came into the desert, because of so much Egypt in them, because they had so much of Egypt in them. You see, they were not free. They were murmuring, they kept murmuring against God. They kept being angry at God and the leadership of their revolution just because they had a lot of Egypt in them. But what God did was so wonderful. God gave them the law. God gave them the 10 commandments. Remember, the 10 commandments were never given to the Israelites until they got into the desert, until they got to a place where God said, these people need some discipline. We will be talking today about laws and principles. Laws and principles. As a matter of fact, I want to get something straight to us. You see, God designed the world to operate and function on laws. I'm not just talking about religious laws of legalism and the rest. No. Okay, for instance, fishes, they can only survive in water. That's a principle, that's a law. If you take a fish out of water, it will die. Plants grow on earth. They need water and they need earth to grow. If you detach a plant from earth, it will die automatically. We humans, we need oxygen to breathe for our respiratory system. Once you take us out of an environment of oxygen, what happens to us? We die. These are principles of nature. These are laws of nature. Yes, and God didn't just put those things there for fancy. God has set things on earth to operate on laws. And that's why a system or a country that doesn't operate on law is dead. Now, I want to make some things clear before we go deeper into this topic today. Every nation in the world is built on laws. Is built on laws. It is impossible to have a country without law. That's why we say La Republic is a lawless country, because a country without law doesn't exist. You see, most of us living abroad, you understand that in the countries in which you live, there are laws that make up that country. There are laws, there are principles of certain things that make up that country. Now, today we'll be talking about laws and principles. Laws and principles. Minister Silva, when you hear the word laws and principles, what comes to your mind, sir?
Mr. Nanchop, I'm so motivated when it comes to talking about laws and principles. And I just want to go back to a statement you made. You said that La Republic is a lawless country, and that is very true. You know, La Republic is a country where justice is what is in the interest of the stronger party. La Republic is a country where justice is what is in the interest of the stronger party. That is, if you are in the government, whatever thing you do is right, and you are in the position, you know, in the government, whatever thing, or in the top position, whatever thing you do is right. That is why you see people like Atang and G, they cause a lot of atrocities, and you know, they cannot be held responsible by the laws of that country, because they don't even, first of all, have any laws, because justice is what favors, you know, the strongest party. So in La Republic, that is why we usually said, when we were still part of La Republic, we said, if you have an issue and you don't have a connection to someone who is up there, just know that, you know, you don't have, you know, any, if you have a situation or a problem and you don't have a godfather or someone that is up there, then just, you know, no, it's not gonna work for your good.
No, so that is, Mr. Silva, what you're saying is so powerful. What you are saying is so powerful. One of the things we also need to understand is that national life is protected by law. You know, national life is protected by law. And what you're saying, I don't want us to rush on this particular topic, because we might need to come back again on this particular topic. So I want us to take our time and dissect some certain things for our viewers to understand what we are talking about, and for them to see why we can never live with La Republic, for them to see why we are doing what we are doing, not just because of some external influences, but because of the core and the depth of this matter, because we know the results. We know that there is no way we can live together with La Republic, being that we are people who respect laws and we admire laws and principles, and seeing that La Republic is a nation. When I'm talking about La Republic, I'm talking about La Republique du Cameroon, our neighboring country, our neighbors, the people with whom we lived for 56 years in a fake union, what we call in Pidgin, "Come we stay." Minister Silva, you made a powerful statement, and I want you to continue. You said, in La Republique du Cameroon, the leaders, let me use my own terms, the leaders don't respect the law. The strong take advantage of the law. You know, it's like they subdue the law. Please elaborate on that.
Yes, Mr. Nanchop, like I rightly said, in La Republique, if you have someone that is top, you know, up there, then you have the right to do whatever thing you do. Like the child of an inspector of police will do whatever thing he or she wants because he knows his father is an inspector of police. But yeah, right where I'm living in Australia, an inspector's child was locked up because, you know, he violated the laws of this country, and his father was, you know, like, yeah, the child has violated the law, and just, you know, and the law has to, you know, affect the child. So, but in La Republique, I think it will never work this way because it's a lawless country, like you said. That country is a country whereby, so far as you have someone up there, then you can do whatever thing you want. Talk less of those who are there in those positions themselves. They go about doing anything they want. They say anything they like, and they know that at the end of the day, they will walk out free. And it starts right from the top. For example, if we look at even, you know, the so-called Constitution of La République du Cameroon, it has always been in favor of the one strong man, that is Mr. Biya, who has the total monopoly of the constitution of that country because he has the power to change it at any time to suit him. In 1961, the constitution stated that, you know, he had to just be there for 5 years, which is, you know, renewable once, and after that, he hands over to someone else. And in 1996, they had to re-amend the constitution when he saw that it was no longer working in his favor, and he said it was like gonna be 7 years, you know, term of office, whereby it had to be renewable at least twice, and then after that, you can no longer be a president. And he has kept on manipulating with the so-called, you know, constitutions of that country. And if we look at that, is, you know, a proof of a country that has no laws, because the law is what is in the interest of the stronger. But before we even get right deep into that, Mr. Nanchop, what is laws? When we talk of laws, you know, what are laws? Let me put it this way. Laws, I believe, are fundamental rules and principles that governs the operative dynamics of life. When we talk of laws, we have human laws, we have natural laws, and we have divine laws. That is the laws that God gave Moses, you know, to govern our lives, our spiritual lives, to govern us as human beings. And then we have natural laws like the law of gravity. We have the law of which says that anything that goes up will definitely come down.
Laws.
We have the aerodynamic laws. We have all those laws, and we have laws like the law of replenishment as well, which says that you have to eat to replenish your body when you get hungry, and if you don't do that, you're gonna face the consequences. So all these things are laws that governs, you know, life. But now I think we're gonna be focusing on human laws. Those are the laws that man laid down, you know, to govern man's operative dynamics in the society where man is living. And most often, like we said, societies that emerge very strong as societies that respect laws, and they believe in the power of, you know, operating in the laws that they have laid down. But if we look at La Republique, it has never been the case. And like you said, that is why we can never, you know, live with that lawless country anymore. So talking of principles are similar to laws, because principles are like norms or rules whereby a person can set them, or an organization or a community, to direct their path towards accomplishing a goal, which means it only the norms or rules helps you to put yourself, you know, or to walk in the direction whereby you can easily accomplish the dreams without, you know, violating, you know, the rules and laws which you yourself, you put them in place. So laws and principles are similar. But like we said, Ambazonia is going to be a country of laws and principles. And that is why we see a lot of checks and balancing, even at this process of the revolution.
Minister Silva, in response to what you just said, I want to assume and I want to conclude that nations are built and are sustained by laws, right?
Right.
That's right. So taking this into consideration, we can say that the quality of life in a nation is determined by the laws of that nation. Now, don't forget, dear televiewers, we are talking about laws and principles, and we want to address some certain things. Like Minister Silva said, there are many types of laws, but we want to focus on our human laws. We want to focus on our society laws. We want to focus on those laws that we humans will make to build our society. And that's why I said that nations are built and are sustained by laws. You see, one of the reasons La République du Cameroon can never be a country, La République du Cameroon can never be a successful country, will never be one, is that they have no laws. When I say they have no laws, it's not like they don't have inscriptions of laws written somewhere. No, but they don't respect them. And the quality of life, the quality of life of a nation is determined by the laws and those who keep the laws. You see, so if
that's right,
a lot of people, just like Minister Silva said, is in La République du Cameroon, those up there, those who are in the system of the government, they can do anything. No, they see it as it's a right. Minister Silva, let me tell you something. 2016, I was in Victoria, in Amazonia, where this was in December, where there was still this heat, when the people had started protesting, and I was there for a short holiday, and there was something that happened to me. Where I live in Germany, and I know that in Germany, most of the times, even if I'm stopped by a policeman or whatsoever, we debate on the laws. The policeman, he has to tell me why he's stopping me, and I have the right to ask him some certain questions. Now, I was there, and I parked my car at Half Mile at the Fako Bakery. Many people watching now might know it. I parked my car there, and something happened. A policeman came with his car. He parked and blocked my car in such a way that I couldn't enter my car. So I had to wait for him to come before I could enter my car. So I said to him when he came, I said to him, "Hello, sir, look at the way you parked and blocked me. Look at the way I parked, and I had to give this other person a chance so he could enter his car." I said, "So even if you went to somewhere, I had to be there for an hour. Doesn't mean I had to wait for you to come." He said, "Ferme ta bouche. Tu as qui? Je suis police." He tell me, "Let me shut up my mouth." He said, "Shut up." He's a policeman. And I was like, "Excuse me, I spoke so politely to you. You are a policeman." I was amazed that he is a policeman. Then I said to him, "Sir, you are a policeman. At least you should know what I'm talking about, and you should know that I'm right." He said to me, "If I open my mouth, he's going to beat me." And I said, "He should beat me." I was angry. I said, "This is a policeman who should be the one enforcing the law and seeing that things go right." All I expected from him was, "Oh, I'm sorry, my brother. I was on haze. That's why I parked my car like this." No, for us to, but he was trying to intimidate me that what he did that was wrong was right because he is a policeman. This is like a confirmation of what you were saying.
Yeah.
And this is when things like this happen, some of us were already fed up with the system, because how can you live with such a person together? He thinks because he is on authority, he can use the right of that authority to trample on you. You have the right to shut up because he is wrong and right. So you see, fellow Amazonians, these are the things. I know there are so many things we can talk about, but I'm just trying on the lane of this discussion to show you how lawless La République was. And they were trying to infiltrate our system with this. They were trying to infiltrate us. Now, I want us to talk as a people, as a nation. Let's talk about us, the Amazonians. I don't really want us to focus too much on La République. Now, the reasons I'm pointing out these things is because I want us to see and let it always be clear to us why we can never live with La République together. Even in a federal structure, for those who are even thinking about that, is dead on arrival. We cannot, you see. And to know why we are going away, that if we are going away from such things, then we ought not to allow those things within us. Let's talk about Amazonia. Why do you think it's necessary right now, in the midst or in the face of this revolution, for us to implement laws and principles in nation building?
Yeah, Mr. Nanchop, I think, like I said before, any strong society is a society that is founded, on laws, laws and principles, because principles are principal requirements that guides, a person or an organization or a community, towards achieving, their goals. So I think every society that must emerge very strong must, hold to high esteem, the laws that governs the operative dynamics of that society. And that is why Ambazonians we must start building this consciousness into our people, into Ambazonian, to know that we are not just going to be like that country where we are coming from, La Republic, whereby things just happen, anyhow. Anyone can do whatever thing he or she wants, especially those that are up there in position. So when it talks of laws, I believe it is building that conscience of discipline into us Ambazonians, because these laws are not meant, to kill us. These laws are just meant to make us know that we have to be responsible, in every phase, of our own lives and towards building our nation. So laws are not there to, to kill us or to torment us. These laws that are gonna be governing Ambazonia, the laws that we're gonna lay down to govern our land, are just, guiding principles to help us, build a better Ambazonia. And this, like when we talk of, laws and principles, we must start, setting up a good example now, especially those of us who are in position of influence in this revolution. Because if we look at the way some of us have been operating, I think there is the need for us to talk on a topic like this. Because, like I said, principles, you know a successful man by the principles he or she is operating in. If I look at you, Mr. Nanchop, I don't need to be a prophet to tell you whether you're gonna succeed tomorrow or not. I just need to see the principles on which you are operating on, and from there I can be able to judge to tell you if you will definitely go far or not. And that is why when we look at the ways some people are operating in this revolution, we know that it is not going to help this revolution, and it's not going to help Ambazonia in any way. So a lot of people, especially those who call themselves activists out there, they must start, amending, their ways and try to, rediscipline themselves to make sure that whatever thing or whatever principles or values that they have laid, to implement or operate on towards towards pursuing this revolution should be right principles that will help us, get to Buea faster. So that is why we are talking on this topic today.
One of the things I earlier said today was that deliverance is when you come out of Egypt. Freedom is when Egypt gets out of you. Now, my fellow Ambazonians, I want us to draw some inspiration from Exodus and from what happened to the Israelites and Moses. Let's start from there. Because this is the ever first time we start giving laws to humanity, to people, right? We saw God giving them laws to live by, because he saw the necessity for them to live by laws. And there was something I want to make clear here. You see, when the Israelites came out of Egypt, they were in the desert, and because of these ill attitudes most of them got from Egypt, they had a series of difficulty and problems dealing with each other when they were in the desert, you see, and dealing with the things of life. And I feel like we Ambazonians are at this particular point right now in our life and in this revolution. Because one of the things I noticed, did you notice that Moses himself, as the leader of the people, did not make it into the promised land?
That's
He did
right.
not step into it. God showed us, because if you see it, God was angry at him for disobedience. You see, even though he was a leader, God gave the promise to him. God gave the laws through him. God used him to inscript the laws into in the nation. But yet, because he himself never obeyed the laws correctly, God disciplined him and he did not enter into the promised land. I want to say something. Listen, Amazonians, it's high time we look at some things critically in this revolution. Because when we have institutions, when we have things we are laying down as a people, and some individuals think that they can overrule these things and push their own personal agenda, it's wrong. And this is exactly the attitude we got from Egypt, from La Republique, where some individuals think that they cannot be accountable to the people. I'll give you a simple example in this revolution. How can one person sit somewhere in Konigi and close down an interim government, overwhelming the will of the national security team, of the please help me, my brother, help me, the counties, help me, let's name the institutions we have. You know, you underlook all these institutions you yourself bear with the people just to take your own decision that pleases you. You see, and we yet have some people in Amazonia who will support that. This is wrong to me. These are attitudes we got from La Republique, because these are the things we see La Republique doing. We see Pobia will just sit, he would make a decree. He appoints people by decree. He takes decision. Sometimes these decisions are so irrational that you would think, oh my goodness. Let me give you an example. He sent a Francophone person to lead the Southwest region. The guy comes to the Southwest region and is calling the Southwesterners dogs. He will kill us. He will kill us. By then we were still Southwesterners. He said we were dogs. He will kill us. How can you send somebody to lead some people with he has no feeling for the people? And if the people riot against that, you send your soldiers to kill them. Now, these are the things we got. These are the things La Republique is manifesting and is operating on. You see, these are not laws. We have institutions, we have laws of the country that are being overridden just to please Mr. Biya. By then, we were still with them. Now we are in Ambazonia. We are building a nation, Ambazonia. And yet, we see some individuals are trying to operate in that models. They just think, because some of them are misusing the office. I'll talk about this. You see a president, or you give them some kind of titles, they just want to take decision over the people and overrule every other institution in the country, just because they want to please their own personal ego. And what puzzles me is not these individuals. These are challenges we will always have. But if we don't respect our institution and we don't respect the laws and the principles of a nation that we are trying to build, that we are building, just to please individuals, you see that we are just like the Israelites wandering in the desert. Then we are not different from La Republique. We don't differ from La Republique. We are not different from La Republique. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Nanchop, I think this topic today is very necessary at this point in time in this revolution. Because a lot of things have just been happening haphazardly. Anyone just gets up and does his or her own thing. And I believe that's what was happening with the children of Israel, whereby, Aaron at one point will get up and want, to do his own thing, his own way. This one will be going his own way, and that one his own way. But they were all moving to a promised land that God destined for them. But it got to a point whereby, I think the people had a lot of divided attention because of the challenges that they were going through. And that is why God decided, to give, the 10 commandments through Moses that will govern them. And I believe it has come to a point in time, this revolution, whereby the interim government, that is the leading arm of this organization, must set some, clear-cut, fundamental rules and principles that anyone that violates those rules, Ambazonians, should completely vomit them, because if we look like I said, like some people who gathered the other day and said they were going to, protest in front of White House. They did that out of their own, they just did that out of their own, how can I call it? Their own,
I'll say their own will. Also, they were trying
yeah,
to
their
test
own
their
will.
ability to command the people.
Exactly. They were trying to test their ability to see if actually the people were with them. And they were not just testing, they were trying to prove a point that they have majority of Ambazonians. But like I said, God, openly disgraced them. God only set a platform to disgrace them. And that is how, whenever you operate out of law, you're going to face the consequences. The consequence is going to be very heavy on you. The repercussions going to be very heavy on you. And I remember a lot of people called me on Ground Zero and they said, truly, we have now discovered that the interim government is the people's government. Because when we look at those that have been making a lot of noise on social media and that called a rally in front of White House, and we were really like anxious to see the turnout. And at the end of the day, I think there were like 9 or 10 people that were in that so-called rally. And that is a consequence of those who operate out of, their own way, trying to go, out of the basic rules, of a society, of life. So I believe that we have come to a point in this revolution where if we really have to advance, people must start operating, on the right principles that will govern, this revolution to succeed faster.
Minister Silva, one of the characteristics of a dictator is that he undermines every law of even his own country. He takes himself over the law even of his own country. He disregards every institution of his own country. Now, I want to say something. I'm seeing these traits of dictatorship in the Ambazonian people right now that I feel we need to address. I'm not going to call names, but the Ambazonian people know what we are talking about. When you start seeing individuals, even in the name of activists or activism, and or whatever position they occupy, and they use statements like, I authoritatively tell you, you must listen to me. They are forcing their will on the people. It is like it's a must that the people must buy their ideology. If it is not that way, they insult the people. They make fun of the people. I know of activists in this revolution who comes on and insult the people. They say the people should follow them because they are the chosen one. And if the people say, no, we don't think you are the chosen one, we think we should judge some certain things, they start insulting the people. Now, these things, I believe, can only be this way because we, the people, are tolerating that. It means we are not operating on some disciplinary principles, which I think we'll be talking about later. But I want us to look at something. You said the interim government should be able to bring in laws and principles by which the people should live. But one thing I have a problem with that, Minister Silva, is that I said earlier that the quality of life in a nation, depends on the law keepers. I mean, on the people who keep the laws. You can make laws in a country. The interim government can come out there and make laws. Of course, it's not like we don't have laws in this Ambazonian revolution. But if the people don't keep the law, and I think that's what we should focus on right now, on obeying that law. For instance, excuse me, we all know that we have our counties, we have our local government areas, we have our LGAs, we have the Ambazonia Restoration Council. That's what I was trying to talk about earlier. The Restoration Council, we have the Defense Department, we have all these structures in place. They have the rules on which they operate. Yet you have individuals in Ambazonia who undermine all the structures. They feel that they must be the one in control. They will unanimously want to take the decision when it concerns the armed forces, when it concerns diplomacy. They want to be the only one to say yes. Now, the problem I'm seeing with this is we have Ambazonians who are supporting that. In other words, these are people who are supporting this dictatorial system. These are baby dictators they are building. Somebody said, or once said, don't feed a python that might eat you tomorrow. You see, I feel like we are losing the focus on these things because we are undermining our little principles. And listen, that which you undermine today might be a big problem tomorrow. You see, so I really want us to focus on this because the interim government can make the laws or whatsoever, but I don't think that's necessary. I think that it's necessary for us, we as the people, to start obeying the principles and the laws we have right now at place. Why should the interim government be making more laws in this nation building when the basic ones we have, we ourselves as the individuals cannot respect them? Why should Ambazonians come on net and be fighting against each other, killing each other, even on ground zero, when we have a common enemy? We are not respecting the basic principles of working together and fighting a common enemy. And you may want to put that blame on the interim government. I think we have a lot of work to do here. When talking about discipline, we have a lot of work to do here. Now, Minister Silva, I made mention of dictatorship. And I said, one of the characteristics of a dictator is that he undermines every law and institution of his country. He sees himself above all that. I want you to give an advice to our people. We have these dictatorial traits that are happening in Ambazonia right now. I want you to please address this issue. I will give an example so you can work on that. I'm going to call this name. As somebody who where I live, that's why if you live in a country and you abide to the law, they call you a law-abiding citizen. Where I live,
that's right.
I see that I obey the laws of the country. I obey the laws of the country. If I should break the laws of the country in which I live, I will be held responsible by that law. Now, I want you to talk to the people of Ambazonia. Address the streets and how we should recognize these people these ill attitudes and how we should be able to go along with them in a disciplinary manner.
Well, the first thing we must understand is that we have a lot of people making a lot of noise out there. Like we saw an activist who is supposed to be doing activism at one point came out and was like saying that if this is not done, he was addressing His Excellency Dr. Sako and said, if this is not done in this period of time, then I am going to declare this. That was, a mere activist, saying all this. And so Ambazonians should be able to know that these are the kind of people whom, if they encourage or if, they clap or they pamper them, at the end of the day, these people will become a very dangerous set of people in the Ambazonia we are trying to build. I also heard another leader saying that I am the one to lead this revolution in this phase. The liberation phase of this revolution, I am the one. Those are dictatorial statements. And Ambazonians should be able to discern when they hear people talk, to know that this kind of people, if we align, behind this kind of people, at the end of the day, we're not going to have any different regime from that which we are coming out from, because those are dictatorial statements. I don't remember any day where His Excellency Dr. Sako has come out and make statements like I. He always refers, to us, the people of Ambazonia, because he puts the 8 million Ambazonians first. So Ambazonians, for you to be able to recognize the true leaders of this revolution, look at people who put the interest of Ambazonians first and not people whose vocabulary is always I have decided that I have raised this amount of money. If you hear someone comes out there and every word that comes out from his or her mouth is I raised money, I did this, I sent this amount of money to this place, I am going to ban this person, all those kind of words are dictatorial statements, and we know those who have been making statements like that. I don't want to call the names, because there are some names, like I said before, that my mouth is so anointed to call some names in this revolution. But I believe Ambazonians know people who have been out there making those kind of dictatorial statements, and they should not align behind those kind of people. And we can see them every day. Like I said, Mr. Nancho, this revolution is truly of God, because God keeps exposing them every day. Like what happened again, I'll still reiterate this. What happens recently in United States, where people were trying to prove that they have a majority and only met, their Waterloo. And I think that is a clear proof to show Ambazonians that God has started, putting to shame all those who thought that they could manipulate Ambazonians, all those who thought that they could use their charismatic nature and come on social media and, manipulate Ambazonians. Ambazonians, be wise. I believe the Spirit of God is in every Ambazonian, and they know the true leadership of this revolution.
In other words, you're trying to say that the traits we see in individuals, like those who are so full of themselves, those who think that it's only their opinions that count, those who feel like they are the ones that must rule. If they don't rule, and no one else can rule. When they start portraying such characteristics to us, we should be careful with those individuals. We should know these are very dangerous sets of people, and these are attitudes we cannot feed, because if we feed them, they will grow. Somebody said, what you feed grows, what you starve dies. So we need to starve those attitudes by not giving room to them, not giving room to such individuals, challenging them, and not even opening the door to them, making them. I enjoy what you said. We saw this activist, or this particular individual, who is always so rampant and arrogant on net. I don't know. Let me not even comment on that. But try to pull the crowd and to show to the world that he is the one in charge of Ambazonia. He even calls himself the best activist in Ambazonia. He says, without him, the Ambazonia revolution, as though he's will alone. I mean, if you make an statement like, without me, the Ambazonia revolution would die, it's like you are the one who is carrying the revolution. It's that the will of the people is dead. It's not behind the revolution. It's like, without you, the will of the people will die. They will not be able to get what they want. It's wrong. It's wrong. And we see these things keep manifesting themselves. And I see a very strong...
Mr. Nancho, let me cut you short. One of the characteristics of these people is their rude nature, the way they talk to people, the way they present their ideas. They are very rude. And from there, I think Ambazonians should have known all these things. I heard an activist coming out at one point to insult Pa Frujohn, the barrister. Yeah, Frujohn. So that is someone, Mr. Nancho, that is your father. He is my father. No matter what differences we have, a young person in our culture and our Ambazonian culture, we have respect for elderly people. No matter the differences you have with an elderly person, you can still present your ideas in such a way, or your opinion in a way that is not insulting or is not rude. But we see these people every day. One even came out insulting His Excellency Dr. Sako the other day on how he dresses or whatsoever, and not knowing that he was just attracting wrath to himself. And by doing that, he was given a new name on social media. I heard everyone calling him Ashwabi boy, which is all about how he has been, dressing, on most of his shows on social media. So the new name he has that everyone calls on social media now is Ashwabi boy. So if we look at people like that, we should be able to know that these people are not the right people we should align on. And then talking about laws, we saw when it came to a point when the Israelites were in the wilderness, that there was a lot of disorder, and the people turned, and Aaron started giving instruction when Moses was, on the mountain, and a lot of things started going wrong. And then God had to, rebuke the Israelites. God had to rebuke the Israelites, when they started aligning behind the wrong person. And that is just what is happening in this revolution. At one point, the consequences might not just be on those that are misleading, but also those who have decided to follow these people who are misleading them. Because it is said that if you follow a sheep goat, is going to lead you into a pit. So if sheep goat is one of those animals that are often referred to as very foolish, or so if you follow a sheep goat, know your destiny is the pit. So Ambazonians, you have to be wise to know these people by their character, the way you see them manifesting out there. They don't the attitude they present out there should be able to speak something in you. And so I believe Ambazonians know all these things, Mr. Nancho.
Minister Silva, I want us, before we round up for today, I want us to talk on two things. Firstly, I want us to talk about the advantages to a nation when they operate on laws. The advantages of laws to a nation. The advantages we have when we operate on laws, and why this is necessary. And why this is necessary, especially now in Amazonia. I want you to say something on that, sir.
Okay, Mr. Nancho. For example, like you said, now naturally in this revolution, we have we already have some basic laws that are governing this revolution, and every Ambazonian knows. For example, we have a law that every Monday places should be locked up. There should no one is supposed to be sent out. Exactly. And so that is a law that is supposed to be respected by every Ambazonia. And so if you respect the law, I've heard of a lot of people who became casualties in this revolution just because they disobeyed these laws. And those are the negative repercussions when you start going against the laws of a land, or a law that is supposed to guide a nation. So we have heard of people who were shot of stray bullets just because they went out of their houses, and people were asking, but why did this person go out when he or she knew it was locked down, it was ghost town? So Ambazonians should respect the laws that we are operating on, the basic laws that we are operating on right now. If they say it is locked down, please stay at home, don't come out.
Before you continue,
and you're gonna be safe. Yeah.
Before you continue on the next point, I want to correct that, sir. Not just Ambazonians. Listen, if you live in Ambazonia, even if you are not an Ambazonian, you are bound to obey the laws of Ambazonia in the territory of Ambazonia. Because where I live, if I live in a country, I must not be a citizen of that country to obey the laws of that country. And believe me, if I should violate the laws of the country in which I live, I have no excuse like, no, I'm a foreigner here, or no. The consequences, I will face the consequences. And this applies to Ambazonia. Even if you are from where, even if you are from anywhere, in any country in the world, you are in Ambazonia doing your business or whatsoever you are doing in Ambazonia, you are compelled to obey and respect the laws of Ambazonia. If Ambazonians have made the law that every Monday in this revolutionary period, it's a lockdown and a ghost town, and you go to open your business, believe me, you will face the consequences. I want to make that clear. So, Minister Silva, I just wanted to clear on that point. Thank you, sir. Continue.
Thank you very much. And another law that governs the operative dynamics of this revolution is that we have a common enemy, that is La Republique, and this goes to the restoration forces on the ground. Restoration forces should not turn their guns against one another. That is a law that they must respect, except you are doing that in self-defense, because self-defense is the basic right of every human being. If you see that the devil has entered one of you and he is trying to come and stop you from focusing to bring down the enemy, then bring that person down first. that one is very clear. We don't have to turn our guns to one another, but if you are in a position where your life can be taken and you will not live to fight the enemy, then you have the right to self-defend yourself. I believe that one is very clear, Mr. Nanchop. That is a law,
Perfectly
but
clear.
the first basic,
Perfectly clear.
right
Let me
on.
add something to that. One thing we should also note is that laws govern the norms of a country. They determine the norms of the society. You understand? And that's why you see, even in the individual institutions of a country, there are laws that govern them. For instance, you have the Association of Lawyers. There are laws that governs them as lawyers. And that's why they'll have their institution, their legal institution, whatsoever they might call it in a country. Now they have laws that governs them as lawyers, so that if any of them should go against that law, he or she will face the consequences of that law. So you are talking about our fighters at Ground Zero. They must respect the norms, and the laws that govern them as fighters. For instance, you as a fighter, you don't go to the territory of another fighter without concerning them. You as a fighter, you don't breach. When you sign in that you are going to fight for your motherland, to protect your people, you don't go to another camp just because they're giving you money. You stay with your camp and fight and pay your loyalty to that camp. You don't take phone calls from the other camp and tell them, run away from your camp, come to us, we'll give you money, and then they start buying you over. When you start failing to obey those laws, you will face the consequences. That's why the generals, they have the right to discipline their fighters who are not obeying the laws of fighters. For instance, if you have fighters who they should be protecting the people of Ambazonia, they are going out with the weapons given to them by the Ambazonians to harass the people of Ambazonia, take materials from them, steal from our families, and put them in pens. You see, they will face the consequences for that. They must obey the law of doing what, protecting the people and not going against the people. No, we can talk a lot about this, but I want you to continue. I just wanted to make mention of that.
Yeah, and now coming to us who are over here in the diaspora and the leadership, I believe that we don't really have any police, like any police force that can, get into arresting people or bringing people into order in order to reorder their steps. And so, like we said, this revolution is a God-ordained revolution. I believe one of the things I'm gonna be talking on again is the behavior of those who say they are at the front line of this revolution. If they believe that they are truly on the front line of this revolution, they should focus on the enemy and not on others who are focusing to bring down the enemy, because there are a lot of people who say they are leaders, and each time they come out, instead of focusing on the enemy, they turn to the IG, because the IG has been very productive, the IG, and so people have become so desperate because they think and they rightly know, they don't only think, they know that the IG is taking a lot of steps that is advancing the revolution, and since they have in their minds that they are the ones to lead the revolution, they become frustrated and they turn and start doing things that is kind of slowing the revolution. People like that, Mr. Nanchop, let me just go a little bit and talk about natural law. The way things are gonna happen with people like that is gonna be the same way that natural law judges situation and circumstances. For example, with natural laws, they are like police. They don't, you don't need a police when it comes to natural law. For example, if you don't eat, definitely you just get hungry. That is, they are like policemen themselves. Like the law of gravity, that says if you throw something up, it comes down. You don't need a police. You don't need anybody they are like police themselves. So
in other words,
the people in this revolution who have been being a distraction and turning their weapons to, others instead of the enemy, I believe that God himself, will be the judge over those people, because no Ambazonian leader should focus, or turn his or her focus or weapon to another Ambazonian leader instead of the enemy. So it's not just the restoration forces on the ground.
My brother, in other words, you're trying to say, and I want to confirm this, listen, natural laws have their consequences in themselves. For instance,
right.
If you plant, you will harvest. It's a natural law. You understand? If there are natural laws that they have the consequences in themselves. We don't even need to implement. The consequences are in themselves.
They are there.
Right. And this is true for different spheres of life. Now, when we talk about these things and we focus on constitutional laws, I want to say something. I think as a people, we must lay emphasis on building strong institutions. And these institutions must be guarded by laws. Now, many of you said, or I've had a lot of you come to different shows and said, it is necessary for us to build strong institutions in Ambazonia. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I think we should go just beyond the talking and agreeing. We should go to the implementation phase of this, because what we desperately need right now in Ambazonia is the implementation of these laws and principles. Now, for instance, why is it necessary for us to have strong institutions? Because countries without strong institutions that are backed up by strong laws, and these laws that are being obeyed by their citizens. I said earlier that the quality of life in a nation is based on what? The laws or the law-abiding citizens of that nation. That means when the citizens of the nation, they obey the law of that nation, the quality of life increases. For instance, in a country where we say nobody has the right to move with gun and shoot somebody else, people don't have the right to, they make as a law, people have no right to harass people, men have no right to be beating women. If we make all these things as laws, you will see that there will be less injury. You will not be having cases where people are going and shooting people and killing them. There will be some security. You understand? You will bring in some security and you increase the quality of life of the people. But in a lawless country where people just have the right to take gun and shoot and kill people, people just have the right to do anything. They don't obey any law. Nobody obeys the law. Anybody thinks he or she is above the law, he can do anything. There will be chaos. The quality of the life of the people will be so low because people are living in fear. I don't know if I go out there, somebody might take a gun and shoot me because people don't obey that law. I don't know if I go out there, this one can do this to me, or this can happen to me just because I'm afraid. People will be living in fear, and it hence reduces their quality of life. But if I know that they will say, are we all are law-abiding citizens, I can go out there, I will not be afraid that someone will take a gun and shoot at me. These are just examples. Now, applying them to this revolution, if we have institutions and we have laws guarding and protecting these institutions, individuals will be afraid to do things because they will know, if I do this thing, the law will hold me, and nobody will think I'm more than this person, I'm more than this, because we all will see ourselves as subjects to the law. You see. Now, let me cut you an example. Don't you think we are deceiving ourselves if we apply some certain laws to certain individuals and we don't apply them to certain individuals? For instance, many of you used to talk and say, no, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this to this and that? No. When Bala, for instance, was in the dungeons of La République, Ambazonians applied a law on Bala. Why should the same law not be applied to somebody who is in the same situation? And we have some of us who are supporting it. We are trying to make a story out of that. No. You see, when we do that, we are trying to be exceptional. We are trying to be what? Selective in our justice. That's wrong.
Discriminative.
That's wrong. Yes, we are trying to be discriminative and we are trying to be manipulative. If we give room to these things, Ambazonia, we will not build the nation we want to build. We must accept that there are laws, there are institutions. We will build these institutions and we start implementing the rules of those institutions now. The discipline, everyone. Be it Dr. Sako, who is now the president, if he should go against the law, We will not say because he's the president. No, we will say Dr. Sako has gone against the law. He will face the charges, the consequences of the law. Be it Sechi Chris Anu. If he goes against the law, we will say, be it who, Ayaba, whosoever they take themselves to be. If we begin to put people in this picture in our mind,
Mr. Nanchop,
yes, sir.
Mr. Nanchop, Ambazonia is really a country that is going to be a country, with a difference in Africa and the world at large. Because
Amen.
if we look at just what happened with my trip to Buea, that a lot of some people, it has become a punishment to some people who come out and sing it every day. There was an auditing, and when I strictly went through the process of that auditing to see what happened, and that was really a proof that Ambazonia is gonna be a country, that is founded in strong, principles and laws, because that auditing was very professional, and those that did their work did it so professionally. And if we look at it, Your Excellency, His Excellency, Dr. Samuel Sako came out clean from that
allegation,
auditing.
accusation.
Yes, and all the allegations that people had been trying to propagate against him. And so that is what we are talking. At this stage of the revolution, people might be asking that, why are we talking about laws when we are not yet in Buea? But again, we are reminding you, if you are just watching this show, it's your favorite program on ABC Amba Television, The Hour of Grace, and we are talking on laws and principles. And we are talking about this in such a time like this because when we look at our journey, it's similar to that of the Israelites that were that God was taking them to the promised land. And they were not yet in the promised land, but God gave them laws because God discovered that it was expedient for them to have laws that would govern them because they were, living in so much disorder. People started doing their own things. Some people thought that, at this point we should start listening but to Aaron. We shouldn't listen to Moses again because Moses took us out from Egypt to suffer us, or Moses has been doing this and not that. And we discovered that God is not a respecter of people. Mr. Nanchop, do you know that when the people complained and they needed water, what God did is that God gave Moses an instruction, and Moses had to hit a rock for water to come out. And the second time, God gave an instruction for Moses to speak, and Moses went again and had to hit the rock, and he disobeyed, the instructions. And God did what? He received the punishment for that. God took away his life. That is to tell us that in this revolution, is not because Dr. Sako is the president of interim government or Secretary Chris is there or whosoever. Anyone that violates the law, naturally, like we said, the consequences will fall upon that person. That is why you see what has been happening. Again, I'll keep going, to the shameful platform that God put some of those people like John Bakuro recently and the rest, just few days ago, to expose to Ambazonians that these people have no followers. These people are just doing their own things on their own. They rant on social medias, but they don't have anyone, truly that is aligning with them. All their population ends on Facebook. Yeah, it was very clear. And what happened in that situation is that they became very rude. And I heard, when I was watching some of the footages on social media, and one of the famous Ashrabi boy was like, the people of Maryland do not come out because we are not sharing drinks and food here. And he started insulting the Ambazonians in Maryland. And those are the kind of things we said. When you see people like that, no, madness is not far from them, and you cannot allow yourself to be deceived or manipulated by people like that. And so, like we are talking, it is very important for us to start practicing to live, a life of principles, of laws and principles, while we are still on our journey to our promised land.
And I want to use this opportunity to, it's not like Ambazonians are not trying their best. I want to appreciate Ambazonians. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate my fellow compatriots. I want to appreciate you guys because there are some examples I can point to and I say we are making positive steps. But I think this message today is to do what? Is to encourage us to be more, to be strict, to be more strict. Listen, Germany is a country where the people obey the law. I respect the Germans for law. They have laws on punctuality. My brother, listen. Germans are one of the most punctual people in the world. They respect their laws. Listen, no matter who you are in Germany, my brother, I've seen ministers in Germany go down. I've seen prime ministers go down in Germany. I've seen big people in Germany go down within weeks simply because they did not obey one simple law. I know a policeman who was my neighbor who lost his job just because he crossed the red line. He is a policeman. He was my neighbor and a good friend of mine. He lost his job because he crossed the red light. In some other countries, they'll say, I'm a policeman. No, they held him accountable for not respecting that law. And he faced the consequences. What am I trying to say? Ambazonians, we must not be respecters of persons. We must be respecters of our institutions and on our laws. Yes, we must respect our laws and our institutions. And I want to appreciate what the interim government is doing. They have been the big brother in this revolution. We have so many mushroom groups, as I call them, that are trying to compare themselves with the interim government. But let them compare themselves with their doings, not just comparing themselves with words. We also want to show. Everybody can show by talking, but show by doing. The interim government, when there were a lot of accusations about my trip to Buea, they came up and they constructed they did an audit. And I was so impressed by the way the audit was done, because the audit was done by the representative of the 13 counties of Amazonia, which means it will be difficult for you to deceive all these 13 people from all the 13 counties of Amazonia. We know that there were some people who tried to manipulate that, and because they could not, they refused coming to the table to face the audit. I will call them somebody like Tabenya. When he saw that the heat was too much and people were asking a lot of questions, Tabenya refused, even though he was the financial secretary, he refused to show up on the audits. But the people did their job constructively and gave us results. And even Dr. Sako, the president, he went out and faced the audits. All those who were in question, most of those who were in question went out and faced the audits. I was impressed by that, because if it was in a country where some like the president or whosoever is not a law-abiding citizen, he will say, no, judge the others. People will not even go to judge. And we see this in the Republic. People will go, okay, for instance, when they did the election, they will have Kanto and the rest, they will come and talk about their political ambitions. But Paul Biya will send a representative. He's too big now to go and sit on the TV and talk. He's too big. No, when they were doing their political whatsoever in their country, in La Republic, Kanto, Bala, and the rest, all of them they came from different institutions. They went and were talking. Mr. Paul Biya is too big to go and stand there. And this is the system I see some people want to copy. You will see, they will always talk about, like those activists who were talking about my trip to Buea, and they are still singing, and they deceived a lot of Ambazonians about my trip to Buea. Now the audits of my trip to Buea came out, they became ashamed. They were not talking again about my trip to Buea. Now I would have expected Ambazonians as people who want to build a strong institution and a strong country, who want to put everyone to be subject to the law, to say to all the other frontline leaders, call Bo Herbert, call Akwanga, call this guy Ayaba, tell all of them, you people have been collecting money also, show us your audits. I am challenging you, Ambazonians. If we are just and we are fair, and we want people to be accountable, leaders to be accountable to us, then let's put all the leaders under the same law. All of them must obey the same law. Just as you and me sang over my trip to Buea, we sang it on APC, we sang it on radio, on Facebook. We said we wanted audits for my trip to Buea. People were even insulting Dr. Sako that he has stolen my trip to Buea. Up till date, there are some people who still even believe that. I mean, because they were brainwashed. You see, this is manipulation. Because they were brainwashed, they were deceived by activists. Up to date, even though the results are out, they are still living in their past. They are still living in darkness. That my trip to Buea, and you see on Facebook, somebody will come and comment, bring back my trip to Buea, Dr. Sako. Even though he's having the audits, he should read the audits. He will not read it. I want people to come and be honest. Ambazonians, we should be honest. Let's call all the others to audits. If we could take that bonus to call Dr. Sako, our president, to honest. I like that. That's a courageous spirit, and I appreciate that. Call Ayaba. Yes, let Ayaba come and tell us all the monies he has been collecting from people. I know people who he's collecting money from, for in the name of you want to give them people for asylum and the rest. Let him come and give us audits for those monies. I know of monies he has been collecting from gatherings. I know of the one Akwanga has been collecting. I know all of them, but all of them have been collecting monies. Let them. Yoktabe Sisiko collected money from us in Germany, collected from California. I have those records. Let them come and give us. From the time of Skapak and Skapo, let them come and give us what? Accountability,
right.
Audit. Let them bring audits. This is to show us, Ambazonians, we will pressurize them. Let them bring their audits. Yes, before the end of March, we want to see their audits so that all of them will tell us that only they respect the laws of Ambazonia.
That is right, Mr. Nanchop. That is right. That is to show we are building a country where our law is not going to be biased. We are not building a country that is founded on biased law, whereby people call on one leader to be audited, and then they leave other leaders who are also contributing money, and they don't audit them. So what you are saying is absolutely right. Every leader that has been contributing or collecting money has to be audited as well. That is a proof of, of real laws, or, that if we really have to, say we are a country that is founded in law, So I think these are some of the things that Ambazonians should be thinking in such a time like this as well. So once again, this is your program on ABC Television, The Hour of Grace, and we've been talking on laws and principles, the importance of laws and principles in this revolution. Not just laws and principles, the implementation of the basic laws and principles that we have so far. And Mr. Nanchop, I believe we are coming to the end of this program, and once more, we really want to appreciate our people on Ground Zero, especially this day, the Doomsday. It's a doomsday for La Republic, because this is a day to remind them that we have no business with them. It's a day to remind them that we have already had our freedom completely. And again, it's a day to remind them that Ambazonians have unanimously said that we no longer want to be with La Republic, and we are no longer with La Republic. So I really want to appreciate the people on Ground Zero for staying indoors, and I want to appreciate the Restoration Forces for defending homeland and for protecting, the people of Ambazonia from the terrorist soldiers of La Republic. Once more, a big congratulations. God is with you people. God is protecting you, and we'll continue to pray for you, and we will continue to stand with you in whatever form we could. God bless you.
wara
anane kapa
tigere kaba
anane go me yago na kwekwaye tibu mama mama oh
mama 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 mama
Jab Lange Sop Aja Wow Mama Junior ye kweyi Mubuta wane ye kweyi Ane mene tige me ye gune kwi abuge moke kuro mi bua mama opo One be yanji pa One be makamo One be makamo Joshua Karagwe Embuge bitiniza Izana tiniza moshi Ayungu byakobe gukoje Oka yisra ayunu me kara jere Tinaka nemo ayeneju Tinegu jatao ayeneju Ane mene tige baye tige na kweye Tiebu mama oh
Oyaka